Do you want to record? Okay, I'll send
Should
you
I
the
record on
recording.
my
Yeah.
end? It
Uh,
says recording, so
oh
yeah.
yeah. Shit. I think it's live. I can't see the chat though. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're live. Do you want to request recording and I can allow you to record it? How do I do this?
Um, it says it's already recording, like my record button's grayed out. So
Okay. So
I'd
it's
have to
letting me.
stop the recording and restart it probably and see what happens.
No, I think you're good. If
Okay.
not, I'll send it to you or. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic podcast and the Indigo Angel show today. I have with me my good friend Indigo Angel. She's back today. She's going to try talk about some new concepts she has, and she's learning and downloads she's getting in. And it's going to be a really interesting show, and I'm really excited to talk to her. So, Indy, thanks so much for coming back on. How's it going?
It's going really good, Rob. I am just excited to get back, in touch with you and go in for another deep dive and for interesting conversation where we kind of take things to the outer limits of all of these possibilities and potentials. So, yeah, things are going well. I'm excited to be back here with Typical Skeptic Family because we have an amazing family here. And I'm happy that you're back from your trip as well. Looks like you had so much fun.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. It really was. I got to meet so many people. It was weird. It was like everybody that I met, it was like I knew them. It was like we already knew each other. You know what I mean? Everybody like connected like on a soul vibe. Like it was like
Mm.
everybody was like soul family there. And what she was talking about is I was at the Full Disclosure Now conference, guys, and it was really amazing. It was like every speaker was amazing, and every what they had me doing was I thought I was gonna be running the live stream, but it wasn't that. What I was doing was he had me like in between speakers. He set me up with a camera and a microphone, and I went around and I interviewed some of the vendors and I interviewed some of the speakers and stuff like that. And that was put live on the live stream. It was really cool. I was nervous about it, but it was really cool. I had to use a microphone. It was like a microphone where I had to bring the microphone back to me and then put it towards the person and then back. So I was like trying to figure that out because like
Mm.
when you're talking, you don't think that you have to keep bringing the mic back and forth. So that was but it was easy. It was really fun. It was but and then what I did yesterday is for people that don't know, I put out that episode with you and with me and Laura Eisenhower because I thought that was a really good show. But for people that don't know, we did that 6 months ago. So for the people that are watching right now and saying, "Oh, you just had Indigo Angel on yesterday," it's wow, that show is from like 6 months ago. I just decided to put it back out again, and then
Mhm.
yeah, and then we just decided to do a show today. So yeah, but what's new with you? What's going on?
Well, I think that that was a significant post. I mean, and I think it ties into the things that we're going to talk about today, or programs and things like this. And I think that's such a huge, significant part of our history with reduction and fertility, and even our genesis, our humble beginnings, and what kind of transpired from that time. So really, our origins go beyond Earth. They go beyond this planet. And this is kind of the insight that I've been getting more and more. I think last time I was on, we were remote viewing Venus and Mars more so. He's bringing forth some of my
Yeah.
visions and channeled information that I've had around that. It's really opened me up a lot because, and just so everyone watching, if you don't know who I am, I do consider myself to be a planetary grid reader and psychic, and I pretty much just kind of tune into the organic intelligence field, and I get a lot of crystal visions and clarity around things that go very deep into the Earth's Akashic records. So, that's what I've been kind of reaching more into because I'm getting closer and closer to going to the Inner Earth Gate site in Kauai, which is the oldest island, and there are vortices there that really do connect you into the hallways and the passageways of a mentee. So I've been getting more that's coming through. And one of the things I've been getting clarity around Earth's beginnings, which I knew have always gone back to, we talk about Atlantis, we talk about Lemuria, we talk about the Hyperboreans, we talk about Maldek and Marduk and the implosions of our planet, like all the planetary war history that kind of ensued. What I've been getting goes even further beyond this. Now, I know there's a lot of concepts here in the galactic community that Earth would have originated from the Alcyon system. or at least that the Alcyon was once our rotating solar body. Now, I think this ties in somehow, but within the timelines, I'm not entirely sure because the messages, what I've been seeing now more and more, is that Earth and Venus herself actually originated in the Rigel system.
What
So
do we
that would
know about
mean
the
that
regular
Earth
system?
originated from Orion, actually.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this throws a wrench, right? Because it's like, what? Like how is this even possible? How could we have originated from Orion? Well, the more that you let that soak in, the more that it makes entirely makes sense as to what and as to why what we're dealing with on this planet.
Well, no, that makes sense. I was gonna say because there's people who like you don't know if you watch that guy. I have him on my show. He's kind of banned on YouTube, but he has a following on Rumble. His name is Ryushin. His website is theorionlines.com, and he's under the impression that we're being controlled by a group of aliens from Orion, and that they're behind a lot of what's the negative stuff that's going on.
Hmm.
What do you think about that?
I would absolutely, I would agree with that. What I've seen is that the Rigelians, basically in the Orion system, are the ones that control this matrix. Now, the Rigelians are cloaked under a lot of different like negative ET factions, basically. They're you consider them like this, they're like the solar overlords or what you would call the solar wardens. Because,
Oh,
right,
is
there's
that where they
like,
get that name Solar Warden from?
yes, yes. So they're like,
But wait,
yeah,
I thought Solar Warden was like a secret space program thing, or is it like
well,
an
it's all connected. It's all connected back to the Regalians. Secret
okay?
space programs are connected back to Regal as well.
That makes sense.
It's it all came well because yeah, all the factions basically exist under and through the Zetas, the Zeta Reticuli and the Zeta Regalians, which technically you just call them Regalians, but it's a blanket term that will encompass all of the factions. Alpha Draconis has a command center within that and a hybridized and a force breeder program. The Anunnaki um, lines as well. Anunnaki were force bred under the Zeta Reticuli in the Rigel system.
What do you mean by
N
that? What do you mean they were force bred? Do you mean what?
Basically, the forest breeder programs here on Earth go back to Rigel. Okay, so if Earth and Venus were born from Rigel, see what happened, you have to understand the history of Rigel. Rigel essentially, well, they're a water system, they're a water planet, so they do actually have like I guess Genesis through primordial water. So a lot of the water here also came from that system as well. So this is where this ties in. Um, Meaning that there was an Atlantean cataclysm that already occurred in Rigel before it happened here on Earth. Earth and Venus are technically the remnants of the Atlantean cataclysm from Rigel prior to. So they kind of descended down through a wormhole system. Now, here on this Earth, right, these Rigelians and these like Zeta types, they're already infused through our genetic design and makeup because they had a lot to do with the original creation of the Terracenum. The Terraceum beings were on the Earth-based body in Rigel prior to the Atlantean cataclysm in the Rigel system,
So wait,
if
so
that
wait,
makes
so wait.
sense.
Before Earth was Earth, the Earth existed in Rigel. So does that kind of go back to like the Anunnaki's version of like the Enuma Elish, where it says like the Earth was like Tiamat at once, and Tiamat split off from the Earth, and they like. Does that make sense? Or what, do you
Yeah.
think I was trying to say something?
It very well could. I mean, I think the stories are paralleling themselves, going back farther and deeper into our planetary war history and our galactic history. Yeah, the stories are definitely paralleling themselves. I would say that the Anunnaki resistance and all of the patriarchal Syrian Melchizedeks, they came from Rigel. Which, right? Like, how did the Syrian Melchizedeks, these priesthoods from Atlantis, they came from Rigel originally, going back farther than Sirius. So yeah, but it's all under the faction of the Zeta hive mind. So when we say that the Zetas are controlling, the Zeta Regalians are controlling this matrix here on the planet, they're controlling the fourth dimensional Zeta hive. This is why Um, and this information really is spanned, it's weaved in and through many people's work, right? This isn't like something that is just a concept that's coming out of nowhere. Like it's been channeled through different people and it's been brought forward. It's just been so hard to look at. I think for us to kind of look at the potential of a Rigelian origin, considering this is where these intruder negative ET factions and races have come from, right? To think like, oh, we could have been born from the system, that would really put a lot of accountability and responsibility as to how or to why things are the way they are. But these race lines were bred for war. They were bred for war. The Anunnaki resistance, they were bred for war. The Syrian patriarch Melchizedek's, they were bred for war timelines. Like they came in, they were genetically basically designed under the Zeta factions and the Rigelian system to be a war race line. It's so ingrained in the fabric of our history that if another thing that can bring you in to see all of this is just to check yourself into the World War timelines on this planet because they're carrying an Akashic record of information in the planet body that if you just tune into the records, it all weaves you back to Rigel. Hitler was an incarnate from the Rigelian system to
How do you know
execute.
this? This is where are you getting this? This
This
is
this just came in as a download. I just literally before I jumped on with you, like it just hit me. I mean, so I speak of it from certainty because I see it with certainty when it comes in. It's very clear. Could I be entirely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? Probably. Yes. That's a possibility too, but I don't know. It hits me so hard in the gut. The vision is so clear that it's just like I say it like I know it.
yeah.
The Zeta Regalians, man, they infiltrated World War II. That was one of the first times they actually made human contact with people here. Was through um was through World War II, essentially. And I do feel that this was what the execution of the Ashkenazi Jewish lines was about, was because they were trying to exterminate particular breeds within the Zeta Reticuli genetic to basically take that soul collective off planet or pull them back into the Rigel system. But at the same time, within that, I think there were original crystalline angelic bloodlines that they also served to mask and hide. One of the things is, I think all of the Amish people, and you're going to know about this because Pennsylvania, Dutch, the Yiddish, all of this, right? I think they are the hidden, true Ashkenazi Jewish lines, basically being hidden in society, kind of in a way that they're kind of untouched. But all of this goes back to Germanic origins and roots. Okay, so
Yeah, that is
there was
true.
some sort of coalition and faction with that. Yeah.
The Amish go back to the Germans for sure. I know that. Like, but you think they're secretly Ashkenazi Jews too?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A lot of them claim to be Christians, but I think it's a secret space program type of mission or operation to keep those particular bloodlines and factions basically under the radar, but allow them to be kind of operating out in the open. But those would have been like the true crystalline within the Ashkenazi. So the Zetas, I think, do see them as like a higher human genetic code, so to speak. Now, I don't like the idea of all of this ultimately, even just tuning into it, is that it kind of puts all of this like creator primordial control within like the Zetas like control. Like who does this race line think they are? Nibiru, that's a cruiser ship from the Rigel system. Everything was implanted, right? Like everything was implanted in terms of our history and story when it comes to Nibiru even.
What do you think?
Um,
What do you think that says about the moon, or what do you get about the moon? Because they say the moon was towed in here. Do you think they brought the moon at some point? Do you think there's a purpose for the moon? Like it's like something like a Death Star or something like that, or like it's like a
yeah,
reincarnation? Just I'm
yeah,
sure you heard that.
yeah, well, very much so. I mean, I think the moon is definitely, if you, I think they're utilizing it for the force breeder constructs on the planet,
So it has something to
basically,
do with the
because,
breeding programs.
yes, yes, because in all of the Earth females that I've come across that are holding Zeta seals and tracker tags and locator tags to the force breeder programs, basically implants that make them susceptible for it's a tagging system basically for reincarnation. But yeah, they're utilizing the passageways of the moon because it allows them to open up fractures in the fourth dimensional time in accordance to the creation gates. So that way a lot of interception happens at that point prior to incarnation, actually. For one, they can bring in disincarnated spirits at that point through the moon. They can bring in um refugee lines basically. So Zetas can actually like bring in refugee lines through this portal. A lot of us have used this. I mean, we have all used it technically in other soul lines and soul lines that we're a part of. To come in, even the Lyran Wars almost was like a co-op. It was some sort of almost like a staged war to I guess explain and define certain things that happened here, but the Lyran Wars aren't entirely in alignment with the truth of it's almost like it was some sort of staged event, kind of like a psyop or a mind control program.
Why though?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Why I don't know. I'm this I'm just speaking from right now, like I'm just getting this. Sometimes I have to feel like and I have to like read more into it.
Yeah.
Um
No, it's fine. Yeah.
it's covert things ultimately to hide or bury other star systems race involvement in setting up the planetary weaponization systems as well. This is what I'm kind of getting when I tune into why the Lyran Wars would have been staged. And that's what I'm saying. I feel like I'm going again. I feel like I'm throwing a wrench right now in galactic history. Like everything we think or know to be true, like it's so much deeper and actually it is a lot more corrupt than this. Not to say that there isn't a balance of things happening in the universe, but it's at this point it's dangerous for us to not understand what's going on, the technicality of the warfare that's playing out in the Rigel system and what origins we have pertaining to that. I mean, if you think about the global Stargate system in the world, we have uh an OI, I'm gonna start calling it OI, Organic Intelligence Stargate System. Over a third of them or more are Orion Stargate encoded.
What's that
Some
mean?
of them working
That means they go
means
back
that
to
those,
Orion.
yes, and they're wormhole systems that funnel, you know, interdimensional space travel to and from the Rigel system. The Bermuda Triangle is definitely one of them.
So this makes sense. So this is like when people go lost or missing, do you think they're going to the Rigel system or they're going to Orion and they're being taken there or something?
Well, like, I mean, absolutely. The Zetas abduct through the grays. So they would be a lot of it's on planet. I think it would be more rare to go completely off planet to Rigel. I think they would keep a lot of the abduction programs and camps here on this planet due to relativity and resources. But would they take them off planet to Rigel? Probably. I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, there is a secret black operation interstellar galactic what's it called? Like a mafia? It's like a
Yeah.
mafia, or it's like a uh there's another word for it. It's basically a breach of the intergalactic security councils though, where they have like a lot of things going on that those gate systems and those wormhole systems are being used. Well, the thing is the Zetas, the Draco Reticuli, the Regalians, the Anunnaki Resistance, the Patriarchal Melchizedek, they all utilize wormhole systems as free energy. This is not like to them it's like why wouldn't you use a wormhole system? We sit over here on this side of things looking at it like, oh, wormhole systems are bad. Yeah, okay. They're going to flip stuff upside down and turn it around in terms of chaos frequency, right? Scatter radiation, everything. Like it's I mean, they represent life and death and they're very scary. And so, but to these factions and these alien races, they've mastered wormhole technology, so they utilize them like nothing. So when we talk about the Tower of Babel and the 666 wormhole and the Atlantean grid that's running here, that's just a part of their playground, their jungle gym, how they're getting, in and out of this planetary sphere. But they're coming to check up on their like race line family. Like technically, the bulk of the collective here was underneath one of those factions at some point, going back to these race line origins. How that's integrated and hybridized here, I mean, you see it with the masses that are sleeping. If you want to know how
So,
extensive and how bad it is, and how many people are under control of this, just look at like everyone that's unconscious and being controlled by the matrix system itself. It's all
yeah.
underneath that.
Well, do you feel like that they feel that gives them a right to not in our mind, but in their mind? Do you think they feel like that gives them a right to make us reincarnate or have control over us and stuff like that? You know, do you feel like they think they own us or something like that?
Yes, yes. If Nibiru is a cruiser ship, basically coming in and out from the Rigel system, here we think it is something that's on an ecliptic band coming in every so often.
Oh,
It's literally a ship that's being sent here to check up on Earth-based beings and also the interconglomeration of politics and worldly leaders off planet. I mean,
remember
the
last time I
coalition of leaders of Mars, yeah.
remember last time I told you about Jupiter ascending, the last time we talked, and then you watched it and you were like, I couldn't believe it. Like, it was like, what did you think of it? Like, and what was I mean, because it's like really like, it seems like what's really going on and like, it's like close to like what's going on in real life, right?
I would say that's probably the closest to the truth that we've seen come through in terms of cinema, yeah, and films coming out of Hollywood. Like, yes, that was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
very
believe it.
similar to I think what it is.
You know, when that movie first came out, I think it was like 2015 or something. I wasn't even paying attention. I don't know why I didn't see it or, and then I heard someone talk about it and I was like, wow, this is like, it's really weird. Like, so do you think there's like a human faction like that that can like kind of controls over us or some of these ETs like humanoid like we are?
I would say it's all genetic hybridizing. It's all born under and through the force breeder programs, under certain factions of things like Tatara, like they world wars, like all of this ties in, right? Is because it said that the Zetas mixed the Zeta genetic hybrid DNA with a species called Zionites, which are a galactic faction, right? So this is this is another race in the universe that's beyond even the Rigel system, but they have connection to them. That this was all genetically modified and designed in Tara. So those Zeta seals may have even been placed in Tara, which is basically it's a central nervous system antennae seal that goes in at the fourth dimensional frequency of the heart outpost to the Rigelian system. Um,
I'm gonna pull
they
up
brought
the app on
this
my
in. Yeah,
phone.
they brought this in World War II. This was when it was exposed to the world governments for the first time was in World War II. This is where all the covert agreements and what they sealed everything under a Zeta Rigelian treaty in World War II. In terms of the United States, Willy Wonka, essentially that came through something called the MJ-12. Have you heard of MJ-12?
Yeah, yeah, that was what we talked about with Laura Eisenhower. Like what basically happened was people were saying that her grandfather signed a treaty with MJ-12, but like it wasn't her. No, no, she signed her that her grandfather signed a treaty with the Greys, but I don't think it was that. I think what happened was MJ-12 was behind all that. There's like the Majestic documents. If you do research on
Mm,
the Majestic documents, it tells you about like this group called MJ-12 that like kind of knew about all the ET technology and everything that was going on, and they were like a part of like you could say they were almost like a part of the shadow government. You know what I mean? I don't know how people
yes,
found out about them, but
yes.
I mean, but yeah, but it's not.
Yeah.
There's a lot more that goes into it than that. But I mean, there was a guy named James Forrestal that was kind of going to bring this stuff forward. He was thrown out of a window. He was like a high up general or something like that. So people could look that up. It's all in like old school ufology literature. Linda Moulton Howe talks about the Majestic 12 a lot too. I don't know if she connects it to Eisenhower and stuff like that, but she definitely
Yeah.
talks about the Majestic documents.
I think it's connected to Truman first. I think Truman had something to do with it, and then it was connected to Eisenhower. and lots of other doctors, Nazi doctors, basically. Now,
Yeah,
this is where World War II comes in because everything with that displacement of a lot of those scientists and doctors, they were some of the council members of MJ12. I think Dr. Henry Kissinger was one. Also, I don't think Valiant, and I know you've talked about Valiant Thor, but I don't think he's connected to the MJ12, but he's what, from Venus? And
supposedly,
a lot
yeah.
of this goes back to a lot of this goes back to Venusian energy because it was Venus and Earth that were a unified entity in the Rigel system. So they split like a dividing cell, and then they traveled. Your Earth and Venus traveled through a wormhole system basically to come into this solar body. Now, did they go to Alcyon first? Possibly, but then came into this solar system. Okay, and so to kind of truly grasp this whole thing. Yeah, anything that's going to be secret black operations, anything that connects us to the wormholes of World War and World War II energy, all of this, again, it's like a funneling through the history of what's been basically brought here from the Rigel system. It's the inheritance of Rigel when it comes to world wars. All those race lines that were involved, again, bred for race lines specifically bred for war. So, it's a lot of karmic challenges that are leading to a lot of self-destruction. A lot of the self-destructive codes, Armageddon codes, all of the catastrophe and disruption of equilibrium, it's coming ultimately from the Rigel worlds. Um, and so Earth is supposed to keep or supposed to have the vault of Orion in it. It's Earth that actually keeps the balance in this universal system between Venus and the maintenance of that balance with the Rigel system. It actually holds a passageway between our universe and the Orion system and the Orion Nebula, which is where the nurseries are. Basically, the original Orion nurseries, where everything is kind of being born in terms of the universe's hologram and what's being projected. And it just kind of makes sense. Like if you just look at the domination of all these factions in which we talk about having control within the planet. I mean, the bulk of the race line here is Orion. It only makes sense that our Earth did come from Orion. It really does. I mean, the pyramids themselves could have been from Rigel.
That makes
Because a lot of times when I tune into the Sphinx, I always get a streamline of information that's actually coming from the Draconian system. So it's really, really interesting that I think the when we talk about the vault of Orion, there's another type of limitation cap in terms of our ability to remember and our consciousness to ascend to interpret more of our galactic history that withholds the truth of Orion here. And I think we all should be demanding that more and more when it comes to defining and explaining our true planetary human origins. We have to know what's gone down in Rigel. Because I think what's a part of the reincarnation, when you talk about what's harvesting us here, what is keeping us tied to this planet is us not being able to transmute war history and life and death passageways as a collective soul. The trauma and the burden is too heavy that it keeps the density locked into the planet. So until this Earth consciousness evolves past war, we cannot evolve this planet. Because war is like Earth's crucifixion. It's Earth's crux, and that's what's lodged essentially in the planetary Akashic records and Hall of records. So yeah, talk about a massive healing that like
do
this
you,
Earth
do
needs.
you think other ET races still war? Do you think they still war, or do you think like that's just like a human thing? What resonates?
No, I think those wars are playing out through us. I think we hold all of the genetic design and genetic um, manipulation, the genetic modification. All of that goes back. What is theirs is ours. So if they're warring in Rigel, we're warring here. The Israeli-Arab war that continues to, it's an unresting, futile war that just transcends like thousands of generations. That war cannot ever die in unrest because it's a direct representation of the Syrian Melchizedek factions versus the Anunnaki resistance that's playing out in the Rigel system.
We
That's
got,
what I see.
we got a
That's
question
what I
from
see.
the audience. Johnny Perry wants to know. He says, Indigo, how far are we from World War III? Do you think we'll ever even have one, or do you think we'll just kind of transmute that? I would hope that we would transmute it. I would hope that we've come as
Yeah,
far enough as a society that where we don't even have to think about that. But people are worried. They think with nuclear war could happen every day. But I mean, they also loosh off us. They make their money that everything they make is off of the collective. So if they destroy the collective, they destroy their own source of you know power.
basically, yeah. I think there's a lot of races here that want to protect the resources here because they're all being utilized. I mean, by many, even the intruder and negative ET races, like they need the resources here. Like the Zeta specifically. And that's one of the reasons why they're here is because of the water. People
Yeah,
think it's like, oh, this or that, but it's the water. That's what keeps them bonded
probably
here.
the
They can't get
gold
the water off
too,
the
right?
planet.
Gold's a big we have a lot of gold
Hmm.
here, and that there were stories that the Anunnaki came here for gold. Even if that was a Sitchin thing, it would kind of make sense, like because you can use gold for a lot of things. You can use it for a lot of things. They use it in space. They use gold in like the spaceships and stuff like that.
I think Sitchin was a Anunnaki resistant ambassador that has coalitions and connections to the agendas of Aleister Crowley, and also things that were tied in and propagated the actual happenings of world wars, World War One and World War Two. That's what I think. I think that he was sent here as an Anunnaki ambassador, basically to tell their story or to tell their side of the war that's playing out in Rigel still as we speak. Um, I think that there are greater planetary rulers. Like we have a president from Saturn, we have a president from Mars, we have a president from Venus. Like they come to this world to discuss the enslavement programs and the forced breeder programs that have descended from that system. And is it in their best interest to war or to so when you think about the overlord matrix of the solar warden like confederacy, like it's beyond leaders of this earth. It's beyond what humans can perceive in terms like yeah, they're all just technically pawns in the checkmate of the galactic net, so to speak, or network that's driving this. But like I would say there are wars already running. There's already World War Type 3 wars that are happening. They're just silent and invisible wars. And the things that are going on here on Earth are far greaterly detrimental to the enslavement of humankind here than any war that's like technically going to pop off. Like, yeah, that would be obviously diabolical for World War III to happen. But if you just look at the basis of the consumption of human life force on the energy, like that's the decay and the deterioration of the mind control and the basically the disposal of our flesh, like our body, what it means to these corporations, like these draconian, legalian, egalitarian institutions, in which are basically like profiting. Basically, when you look at the beast machine of the planet, psychically, if I just open up that vision, what's running into it is a streamline of just like human blood. That's what the beast machine is feeding off of inside of the planet. It's very cannibalistic. All of the reptilian and negative Zeta Regalians, the Dracos, they're all technically cannibals. Um, it is the dark factions within those systems that run the drug trades, right? And all of these like medical tyranny and things like this. Like they do that intentionally. That is to siphon the dark monetary enslavement system here on this planet. That's basically the cap of the frequency, the main frequency fence here. So, I mean, you know all of this. You know
The
all of
human
this, but
trafficking would be another one, right?
hmm,
The human trafficking would be another one, right? Or
yeah. Yep. That's all done through yeah, the dark side of our Willy Wonka, basically, and it's all connected to powering up They're Atlantean generators and crystals. I mean, those came from Rigel as well. If you think about what took down Atlantis here on Earth, was they brought in the power generators from the Rigel system. They brought those in and implanted those into the planet because that wasn't technology that we had here on Earth. Basically, they did that to damage everything. That's what brought forth the Atlantean flood. So the flood that we talk about 12,000 years ago, that was devastated the remaining of the Atlantean colonies that were here. I mean, that was intentionally, uh, I guess, detonated inside of a certain particular stargates to create that to happen. And then they just masked themselves within it. Yeah.
But the question is, we had made multiple chat. I think his name's Chad Ankovich in the chat says we've gone through multiple resets as well. He says 97, 99, 2000, 2008, and 2012. What were they, mini resets maybe, I guess, or like,
Well, the resets would be implying to planetary ascension processes, right? Like the planet. So this we're just yeah, we're speaking about what's going on within the race lines, but those resets, I think, contribute to the higher evolutionary process of all those races that are involved. Guardian races, negative races, intruder races, or refugee races. I mean, wherever one sits within the multiversal national council of things, like their perspective, service to self or service to others, it's all happening under the resets that happen. Because I think that's more of like, I don't know if that's a process that the Zeta Reticuli nutting or fabric can ultimately control, if that makes sense. So that's where things get really entangled with like free will and divine will here on this planet, right? And like knowing the difference between them. But I do feel like resets and anything that's going to shift consciousness is for all species. So right now we are actually coming out of a deep time of deception where the veils are lifting. I mean, we've known this for some time. That's what the 2012 reset was ultimately about, was coming out of the timelines of deception.
yeah.
And then we've kind of had the final, I think we've had a lot of the final battle royales that have played out recently that are taking us really deeply into a timeline of divine feminine shifting and rising on the planet, which is almost cliche to talk about, I feel like at this point, but you really do genuinely see the things occurring slowly. You know, we just, just an example, and people are probably not going to like this, but Kamala Harris, okay, we're going to have another female attempt at a presidential seat. You know what I mean? If that happens, like that's going to really tip the scales into a feminine leadership here within the United States over the next 4 years. That would bring massive feminine type changes within those political seats under the control of the Zetas or the Reticuli Regalians. It's because the consciousness is also shifting within those controller matrices, basically. Um, So yeah, you can see it happening. Really, you can see it in the northern regions. I mean, where you see the feminine shift of consciousness coming in, most of the leaders in the northern countries, Sweden and Denmark, I mean, they're already having female seats in power. That will start to trickle down and expand, especially if the US does it, because the US is kind of the torchbearers for the world. They carry like a lot of the symbolism of light that will awaken consciousness according to those resets, according to the future Venusian consciousness, which holds the new Earth crystallized templates for this planet. Um, we escaped the Rigel system, technically. You could call it an escape, you could call it whatever. We don't have to deal with the intensity of what's actually going on in Rigel in terms of those predatory war systems to the same degree. But at some point, I think we will have to return there, probably to bring a cycle of completion. So there's something within our human future that until we are at rest or until we can basically separate ourselves from their universal or galactic control that we won't technically be able to outgrow the war timelines, basically. So something has to happen, some sort of resolution within Rigel.
What do you think that would be? Like, what do you think? What resonates with you?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, I myself have been going around like unplugging pe people from the Zeta control hive mind and matrix as much as I possibly can, but it's just not enough. Like it has to happen on a bigger level. There has to be some sort of, I think, Earth-based reclamation of sovereignty and the inhabitants that are here. Um, it's kind of like you think about the US dealing with its immigration problems. That's basically what Earth is dealing with, right?
Yeah,
There's like planetary political things that are going on that like have to be worked through in terms of what was in Jupiter ascending, where something had to happen with her genetic code, basically to correct and re release her from the enslavement of her system.
yeah.
So it'd probably be something similar like that. Um, where we're able to heal and address what is basically of that, but also acceptance. I think we also have to accept and we have to embrace. The only way out is in and through. So we actually have to revert our attention back to Rigel and work on soothing coalitions with the Draco operations and the Anunnaki operations and the patriarchal Melchizedeks and the Black nobility lines. We have to actually work to heal and repair what is war-minded within those types. Um, Again, yeah, we need consciousness to shift higher. That's what we're betting on. That's the thing. And I think that might be a lot of the savior consciousness and programming that goes to a galactic level for a lot of us is that we want the resets to just shift everything. But really, if we want to work harder at it, I think we have to go in and through where the war is occurring. Um, which would be some space-time travel to the Orion system. What do you think about it, Rob?
I think it's interesting for sure. I think you're making good conclusions, you know. I don't know. I don't know what resonates with me, you know. It's all one big galactic you know, it's crazy. And maybe we should
It's
ask
a
people in the
soup.
chat, like, what do you guys think? Do you have any questions for Indy? You can put your questions in the chat and we'll get to them real quick before we finish up for today. And you know, so you're getting ready for your Hawaii trip, right? That's coming up here soon.
That is correct. We have booked all of our accommodation packages, so they're all booked. But we do still have open the non-accommodation ticket, which is where if you don't want to stay on home base with the team and you just want to get your own Airbnb type of thing. But we still have some spots available, is just what I'm trying to say for the Kauai trip. Um, we
How
have
many
so
people are
much
going? Like,
amazing.
would you say? Like, is it a lot?
Right now we're at a, well, I don't know if I want to say for sure. I'm thinking when we're said and done, our numbers will be around 20.
Is that what
Yeah,
you?
but
Is
with
it?
that's good. I mean, it's a smaller group, but it's relative enough to I think attain and maintain the things that we need and have to do there without it being too unmanageable. Do you know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
you're doing an event style where you're just moving too many people because there's a lot of logistics that go into boots on the ground grid work with transportation, getting people to and from specific locations to do particular ceremonial type work. Um,
Do you have to like rent a
Thank
bus to
goodness.
like get people to get take people all together to the locations and stuff
Yes,
like that?
yes, yes. That or we've been looking into renting like two or three minivans because those can seat up to 8 people, and then if we have drivers. So there's a lot there's a lot of planning that goes into this. When I have final numbers, I'll know for sure on the transportation, but I can kind of gauge things a little bit by foreseeing some things so I can prepare for certain things. Um, I would say that right now we have really made some connections with some beautiful local organizations that are willing to house some days of the event as well. There's a place there on the island called the Garden of Eden, and it's an actual spiritual retreat and event center. So we're gonna have like our final ceremony and closing day at this place. That's just like gorgeous. In the mountains and more towards the North Shore. Um, and yeah, there's just a lot that's kind of falling in alignment that's just amazing. And we're so excited. I mean, this is a huge mission. This is a very, very big mission that we're going to do. Clearing the planetary war history is going to be one of the things that we focus on. To try to help aid the what's blocked in the reincarnation soul harvesting traps for humanity. We're going to be working on that. We're going to be working on all of the betrayal wounds between men and women. Okay, because that's kind of at the crux of the force breeder programs here in terms of accumulated trauma and what we're all dealing with. Also learning the ways of the island, right? Learning the ancient history there with everything. Um, a lot goes back to like the octopus legends there. We talk about like the great creator spirits of the motherlands of Mu. Well, these were kind of crossbreeds really between dragon and serpent cults, and the descendants of this, the Lemurians, so they carry a lot of octopus like because it goes back to the octopus in the deep Pacific. A lot of this goes back to that, and then it goes, to different factions, basically of original human angelic lines before invasion. As far as we know, I mean, the invasion goes beyond that, but we try to find or centralize what was pure within that, right? And focus on those to kind of help retrieve the original angelic soul body and help retrieve the 12th dimensional soul blueprint and imprint, which is what a lot of the race lines used to have in the motherlands of Mu and Lemuria. So, yeah, we're going to focus on a lot of healing, lots of clearing for that location, and really we're going to be working down deep in Telos, the inner earth, uh, and just working on a lot of the undoing of what has corrupted and it has just left a lot of burden on humanity for us to get through. There's a lot of betrayal wounds. There's so many betrayal wounds running through the collective that it makes healing very, very hard. So, yeah, we're doing this for the whole of humanity. It's not, of course, there's a lot of personal inner healing that comes on this journey, but it's very much a global mission.
Yeah, that's amazing. Flix Love had or there was a couple questions from the chat. Johnny Topside says, back to the whole the Regalian and the war stuff. He says, so did greed and ego screw our species?
Well, it, I mean, basically, it's not really seen as that necessarily. Like, that's technology that's just used under those factions because they are, I guess, using all psychic potential within emotional manipulation and telepathy. It's to those race lines, it's not seen in that way. It's seen as a technology that can move forward in terms of what their agendas are. So, I mean, I guess coming from an indigo spirit, an angelic soul type here on the planet, that it would be perceived as that. But in those predatory genetic lines that were designed specifically for warfare, those are like those are like skills. You know what I mean? Those are like seen as like it's what's in the tool bag for control. Um So yeah, how do we balance that really? I mean, again, it goes back to the ascension and through the evolutionary processes. It's going to take a lot longer. The problem is there's race lines here that are already ready for enlightenment, that are already ready for the collective tip to occur, but there are race lines that are not. And there's going to take them thousands of years at this point to get to that level, basically, because there's a lot more carbon based in their body. Because of their chemical design, they retain more gravity. There's just a lot of things that are blocking the reptilian evolution.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll get to another one. This one's from Flix Love. She says, so can we do a group meditation with neutral higher consciousness people that help heal the other races that keep warmongering, maybe. Do
Yeah,
you
no, I
know?
think that's great. I think there's ways that we can help for sure. And that's why I was like feeling so heavy coming in to talk with you about this today, Rob, because I'm like, oh, another gloomy episode. But like um really, yeah. The thing is unity and telepathy of source energy is the future timelines, right? We are going into ascended Earth. Actually, the Earth is already ascended, technically, right? So we already interpret that the consciousness that sustains the new Earth realities and timelines will be telepathy. So any positive thoughts, positive intention, meditative mindsets towards global healing, like it all is contributing to global and world healing that releases the control matrices of those who feel entitled to this planet and the species and the human beings that are here.
Yeah, that's well said.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was I was gonna say, is there anything else you want to cover before we finish up for today, or what do you think?
No, I think we covered it all. Like, I mean, it was really just I'm going to be talking more about this on my channel. So, yeah, if anyone wants to come over to Indigo Angel on YouTube, this will be probably my next live. I'm going to be putting this out soon where I'm going to go more into Rigel, and kind of break it down, more of the history about this as I get more that comes in, because it's just, it's just a little bit at a time for me, like, because I get like overwhelmed with the downloading of it all ultimately when especially when things are heavy and then I have to sift through making sense of what is extremely heavy or what doesn't entirely make sense in terms of the bigger picture of timelines. Because I'm sitting here trying to foresee like how does Tara play in? Where does Tara play in? Where does Alcyon play in? Where does the origination from Margal play in? Like making all the pieces to what actually happened, what's the closest thing to our truth actually makes sense. So that can take time to sift through that. Yeah, it can. But I'm gonna do a show on it actually coming up. So yeah, we'll talk about it then. I'm also doing my business coaching package tomorrow. We start tomorrow.
What's
We're
that all
gonna be
about?
it's a group of us that are getting together to talk about spiritual based businesses and how we're going about our own businesses within this and how we're transforming the matrix ultimately from within. And a lot of people are, Rob, big things are going on. Big things are going on. I mean, people are waking up that have key positions inside of the matrix. Lawyers, doctors, teachers, and people who hold high positions. Psychology. Like these industries, like there are people waking up within these industries that can see the control. So they already have foots into the establishments that are coming to pull spiritual based business mindsets of how to shift the corrosion and corruption from the inside. And this is really starting to make a wave in the conscious collective. It's a beautiful thing. There's so much phasing that's going on.
That's what makes sense. I mean, I mean, we thought the awakening thing would happen, something like that, that people would start waking up, and then it would make sense that people in big positions would start waking up, and like that's
Mhm.
how our society is going to transform inside out. That's how we
Yeah.
help transform society because then you can start implementing different things in school systems. You have lawyers there to implement things. You have doctors that will implement new medical, maybe more holistic practices. I mean, that's all huge stuff. That's really awesome, you know?
And just a message then to everyone watching and going off of what you're saying is that means that the solution to our problem is to actually go into the systems that were created to change them. So people that want to just go live off grid and have nothing to do with what's going on in terms of the collective, they're basically saying that I'm going to bypass everything that's going on and leave everybody behind and just not want to have to look at what it is we're dealing with because it's too much for me. The key right now is actually to get involved with your local government or political communities and go to the frickin' meetings. Go have, like, seriously, like, you want things to really shift and change, you have to build it within the structures that are already there. It's just how things will work is that the new concepts have to be born from within that. So the waking up, someone has to take the flame from the inside and continue to awaken more.
I like that. I like that a lot, and that makes a lot of sense. That really does. I was trying to think of where I was going with that. I had like a brain, whatever, but no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
Um, people
Well, it was
aren't
so
getting
good
it.
coming on today. My gosh, thanks for all the questions, everyone. And it's always a pleasure coming and talking with you, Rob. Just to me, for me, I'm doing Germany next. Germany is going to be the next grid worker mission that I'm hosting, so anyone can join that. On my services on my website, IndigoAngel222.com, or you can join me at Patreon and come and join the Germany mission. But we're going to be activating Stargate portals in Germany. We're going to be clearing the World War II history and timelines. We're going to be working to sever some of those negative relationships with the Zetas and the Regalians from those timelines, and also things that were like overlaid or superimposed because of that within that time vault. Basically, releasing whatever is blocked inside of the vault of Orion through the World War II gate system because that's all running through Germany. And so we're kind of focusing and zero in on places that can help alleviate the time portal passages. So that will be the next mission. And that will be on 8/8 Lionsgate. And we have so much going on worldwide. I mean, we have a huge activation going on in Ireland at the Hill of Tara. I mean, there's going to be probably 40 to 50 star seeds there on the Hill of Tara that are all connected to the inside of our community, Rob. I mean,
Yeah.
there's going to be a big, 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 big level of transcendence on the 8/8 portal in Ireland. Like, that's going to clear an immensity in the forest breeder programs collectively and worldwide when it comes to the detriment on the Irish genetic, which was one of the most tormented soul race lines according to the tampering of the Dracos and the Anunnaki resistance and the Zeta Regalians and the Zeta Reticuli. Like they really did a number on the Irish people, which were the descendants from Mu and the descendants from Venus, the red-haired people.
Wow. That's interesting. See, that's going to be your next Gerberger trip is Ireland or Germany.
Yep, yep, Germany.
Wow.
Yep.
That's interesting.
I
This
know. It is
is
interesting. I
great
can't
what you're
even
doing
make this
on.
stuff up. I'm just like I'm just being shifted to, I'm being shifted in alignment with the call of, I feel like, organic ascension intelligence. And that's just, and then that's consistently been the message as well, is none of this belongs to anybody. Anybody who thinks that they own anything here. And that's the awakening message. All race lines, all kinds, all creeds. If you think you own something here, you don't. It's It's not for you, it's for us. And until people can understand that entirely to the depth of their spirit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Um,
Oh my gosh. It makes me laugh, but it's true.
would you want to tell everybody
Uh,
where they can find you and thank you for doing this. This was awesome.
did I wear you out, Rob? Do you feel worn out?
No, 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 this was great. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just I don't know what's up with me today, Like I'm a little bit off today, to be honest. I don't
Just
know what's
a little
wrong.
tired.
Yeah.
You're probably still integrating from Florida.
I feel like it. I do. I
Yeah.
honestly do feel like because we had to travel back 2 days on the road. It was 2 days on the road, and it was really like I haven't even started working out again. I got to start working out. I've been just kind of like I've been trying to work. I got to get a lot of guests for August. I still got to do that, and like it's just a lot. But yeah, but people are just saying, everybody's saying they enjoyed this episode so much. I think it's Chad Ankovich says ancestral genetic healing. Dean Thorpe says, I always wonder how people get these things. I think it's downloads. Johnny Perry says everything is borrowed. Like you said, we're not owned, nothing, we don't own anything here. It says everything's borrowed. Patricia Westman says, thank you both. Lots of ancestral healing right now. Chad Ankovich says, we are caretakers. And yeah, so people got the message, I think.
That's so awesome. Well, thank you all for watching, and I love you guys so much. And yeah, it feels good to be with people who understand the bigger picture of everything. And you're not battling, the unconsciousness or having to be a ninja just to navigate around people's limitations. Like it's a full open forum here with like open-minded trusting family of souls, you know?
That's how I want it to be,
So,
you know. I
yeah.
it's I can't I can't do like the mainstream like boring, you know, like I don't know. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um,
Well, that's exactly what it will be for our Kauai trip. That's why these are so healing, is because it's all very like-minded people who are all in alignment to the mission work and to the dedication of it. And we just go with unconditional love and everything and just bring it all to the table. Everybody looks past each other's humanness and really identifies like with the reflection in the eyes of the soul. So there's a soul understanding, and that's what I try to foster in my groups is an immense amount of love and unity, because without that, we'll get beat up out there. It's a battlefield.
I agree.
It is a battlefield. Yes.
It's a
Like, and
rough world.
they want to corrupt you from the inside out. They want to destroy whatever they can.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah,
strong call to be protective for me, for
yeah.
others. Yes.
We
Hmm.
have questions. Um, uh, Arizona Ravens in the chat. Oh, Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says, please be ready to shield the earth on the 30th. He says that EBS crap will be that day again. So did you know anything about that? I didn't know about that. I guess they're doing that
Hmm.
EBS stuff again, which is totally a frequency that I don't know why, what their purpose is behind it. But there was a lady who broke that down on like Odyssey and stuff like that. And there's something more to it, definitely. You know, it's like a frequency nobody.
Yeah, the urgent emergency broadcast system.
Yeah.
Um, Definitely. Definitely. There's something with that for sure. It may have to do with the Harry systems. I call them the Harry systems, but the HAARP.
Oh,
There's massive amounts of deception within that and what that's tied to. I think they're using those systems basically to pump microwave radiation, particularly within the coastal regions. So anybody who's within state line borders to all coastal regions across the US, you're getting a massive amount of inundation of microwave radiation that they just run at night into the atmosphere. Like they're just cooking you basically through those Harry systems. And so the EBS might do something to trigger according to the needlecraft technology as well.
yeah.
Not
Excellent.
sound frequencies. Sound frequencies. There's a reason why they've cut our inability to utilize sound frequencies through at its highest potential through engagement via the internet. So there's a lot of modification and manipulation within sound frequency. That's probably has something to do with the EBS as well.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I was thinking about that.
If I just had to think about it, yeah, just what I'm tuned into with it. Yep.
Also, Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says Sam the Illusionist is predicting a major star event July 30th.
Okay.
I think that's when I have him coming on my show. I have Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot. That guy, he's from the chat. He's coming on my show July 29th or July 30th, I think it is. So we'll have to talk about that when he comes on. So, you know, that's interesting. But
Ask him why there's so much Bigfoot sightings along the Appalachian Trail. Like, what is it that Bigfoot is like connected to along the Appalachian?
oh, speaking of the Appalachian, I'm trying to go to a. So, if you heard that Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot, would like to know what you think real quick before we finish up. Like, why is there so many Bigfoots on the Appalachian Trail? But I might be going to there's another gathering or conference. It's August 1st through 5th. It's in Asheville, North Carolina. It's called the Appalachian Starseed Reunion. You know, a lot of people from like that are local in Asheville are going to be there. I think James
Wow, I'm
will
gonna
be
be
there.
there in October. When is it?
It's August 1st, so it's coming
August
up.
1st. Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know if I'm
I ain't
gonna be
gonna
able
make
to
that
afford it, but
then.
I'm trying to go. I want to go like really bad, you know? 'Cause that's a nice little community down there.
Yeah.
What do you use?
Shout
What
out
do
to
you use
North
for?
Carolina. Shout out to South Carolina.
Yeah. What do you
Got a
use
lot of
for?
friends there.
What do you use for EMF protection? Do you use Organite or what do you?
Well, the best thing for me is water and clay. I mean, if I really feel like I need to do something, use thermodynamic clay, volcanic thermodynamic clay, like red clay, like some form of clay. And then you do like a clay bath. Or like a mud bath basically. That would really extract it all out. Um, Honestly, the best protection is gonna be like gold and copper. Gold is probably gonna be more powerful than even like hematite and things like that. But beyond that, water. So especially right now, if you can get in water, like salt water, salt baths, that's one of the best things to protect from radiation. Actually, it's the strongest thing. And that's why all the that's why all the ETs are here, is because we're a water planet. We have the highest level of protection from cosmic radiation on this Earth versus other places. So, water, I think the main thing I've been hearing to do is to shield yourself in a water field, whether you're doing it psychically, holographically, energetically, spiritually, visualizing yourself inside of water capsules. That's gonna really protect you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like if you look at NASA, all the spaceships that they designed to take into space, they have a layer of water inside of the missiles or like the space shuttles because water protects more than anything. Other than aluminum, aluminum is the number one, but aluminum is also toxic.
Yeah. Uh,
That's why that's why conspiracy theorists have the aluminum tinfoil hat. Oh my gosh. Uh,
Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot said about your question. He said the Appalachia is the male dragon for the USA. Rocky Mountains is the female dragon of the USA. He says my guess is that, and then he didn't write anything else. So I don't know.
hmm. You should ask him when you have him on your channel. See, yeah, check out the Appalachian Trail because I was looking at some maps of Bigfoot and it was like there were certain areas on that trail where it was like most of the sightings occurred. Like they had like it zoned in terms of like
What's
where.
weird is there's a place here in Pennsylvania, like right near my house. It's called the what's it called? Oh man, it's gonna someone tell me in the chat because I'm forgetting this. It's called the oh man, this is gonna drive me nuts. I hate when this happens. Stan Gordon looks into it. The guy Stan Gordon who researches it's called the oh man. There was someone in the chat help me. Why did I just have a brain slip? I'm having so many brain slips today, honestly. Like, like it just seems like it's there on the tip of my tongue or it's about to come out and it just doesn't. And I'm just like, the it's a place in Pennsylvania. It stretches from Pennsylvania to West Virginia, and there's high cryptid activity there. Someone um I gotta look it up. I'm gonna have to look it up.
There's a ley line. Does it run f initially from the tower, the Devil's Tower?
I'm not sure. You know,
I'm getting that energetically anyways. Devil's Tower might connect in, yeah, cutting across to
the
Pennsylvania,
Chestnut
running
Ridge is
down.
called. It just came to me now. It's called the Chestnut Ridge, and it's a place along. If you get a chance, check that out too. Like Stan Gordon talks about it. For whatever reason, there's huge amounts of like Bigfoot sightings and Thunderbirds, and they see Black Panthers here in the U.S. in Pennsylvania, and there's never been Black Panthers here. So it makes
Yeah, I feel like
something's
that's a
coming.
what you call it, like a schism or like the things that CERN run into the collective, the butterfly effect or whatever it's called,
The Mandela effect, you mean?
the Mandela. Yeah, that's a Mandela with these Black Panthers, is it not?
Yeah, yeah, it kind of, yeah, it would be, yeah, I guess. Well, it could be something from another timeline or something coming in from another parallel reality or something like that, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like something like there's other universes existing like right outside our universe, and maybe sometimes we can tap into those. But which makes me think there's the world's a lot bigger than we think. There's a lot more going on than just this 3D world. People are battling things in the astral and there's dream
Oh,
walkers and there's people walking in other dimensions. And I think that's why I have these weird dreams where I feel like I'm in another world. and they play out for so long. It's
Well, and I was even getting to the other night, I was just like meditating and I got that vision and the image that the soul incarnates into the body through the sleep time. So when you're a baby and you're spending all that time sleeping, you're drawing your soul in from
yeah,
the other side or from, yeah, that it's all coming in through that. Like it's being developed through your sleep. And even now, so it's the sleep is aiding the soul, basically. That's what the purpose of it is.
yeah. Oh,
But
he
yeah.
answered us. He said the drag. So he said that. Let me go back to what he said. Let me see. So, okay, so he said the Appalachia is the male dragon for the USA. Rocky Mountain is the female dragon in the USA. My guess is that the dragon's bodies are natural places to live, caves and all. So they populate all that area. Also, natural
Mhm.
national parks and land, plenty of deer and food. Mm,
Okay, that would make sense.
yeah. I'm just seeing if there's any other comments, seeing if there's anything else. Well, I guess that'll be it for today because I got another show in a half hour. But this was awesome. And do you want to tell everybody where they can find you again? And thanks, Indy. This was really fun.
Yeah, no problem. You can find me at IndigoAngel222.com. If you're interested in the Kauai trip, it's at learn.indigoangel222.com. If you're interested in getting into my grid work events for remote sessions, via Zoom, you would do that at my Patreon, patreon.com/IndigoAngel. And yeah, the Germany remote session is the one we're doing on A8. So that's my most recent one next. And tomorrow is the business coaching course. So there's still time to sign up for these things if anyone's interested. If you need more information, you can find me, send an email at info@indigoangel222.com. I can help you get any information that you would need if you're interested in any of these things.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
Yeah, and we'll do another show soon. And thank you. This was amazing.
thank you, Rob. It was so good to connect. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks. I'll talk to you soon. All right, thanks everybody.
Bye.
Bye.